asked questions here. I was able to respond why we don't have codes in Mutembei, why we don't have law codes in Nakuru, why we don't have law codes in the whole country. Mr. Speaker, I remember making clear undertakings in the House and was able to share this with the PS. That time our PS was Amina, the current Minister for Sports, and were able to avail funds to those institutions, Mr. Speaker. It was only possible to achieve that because the ministers were able to come to the House. I therefore want to really agree with the President that that is the way to go. And Mr. Speaker, I have been the chairman of CHILAC in the other House, in the 12th Parliament. And I was the chairman of Delegated in the 9th Parliament. And Mr. Speaker, we go to see a minister in a room somewhere. And it is only the members of that committee that can ask questions. Mr. Speaker, we need a situation where the minister in charge of security, Mr. Speaker, today, Baringo, Turkana, Elgeyo Marakwet, Samburu, we are facing serious challenges of security, Mr. Speaker. My county in particular. And Mr. Speaker, we have nowhere to go so that we are able to interrogate the minister in charge and ask questions. Mr. Speaker, if you really do what the President is proposing us to do, I want to assure you, Mr. Speaker, that these members are going to really be able to make the government account. And Mr. Speaker, I feel proud to belong to this coalition of Kenya Kwanza, Mr. Speaker. You know why? Because it is the president of this country that is saying, I want the ministers to go to the House. Most of them don't do this, Mr. Speaker, because they fear. And so it is really positive, and I want to really appreciate the President, and I think it is important, Mr. Speaker, that we give the support. And I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, as I said, having the full experience of what I witnessed in 2007 to 2013, when I was serving as the Assistant Minister for Justice. Mr. Speaker, another area, allow me also to comment on access to justice, Mr. Speaker. That is our whole chapter, our whole paragraph, Mr. Speaker, in the speech of the President. Mr. Speaker, sir, Article 159 of our Constitution sets out the principles that justice shall be done to all, and that justice shall not be delayed. Mr. Speaker, the saying goes that justice delayed is justice denied. Mr. Speaker, sir, in my county, the High Court is in Gabarnet. We have 6 constituencies, Mr. Speaker. Somebody in Tiati constituency has to travel more than about 200 kilometers, Mr. Speaker, or even 250 kilometers to have access to justice in the High Court in Gabarnet. Mr. Speaker, that is even better because we have an High Court in our county headquarters. There are counties, Mr. Speaker, where there's not even have a High Court. Mr. Speaker, we cannot access justice that way because then it is not possible, Mr. Speaker, for Kenyans to access justice in those areas. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is that when I was chairing CHILAC, and I want to share my experience, Mr. Speaker, it is very important for my colleagues to understand this. When I was chairing CHILAC in the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, when we were receiving the proposals from the judiciary, the resource requirement, Mr. Speaker, is in the tune of 34 billion shillings. How much do we provide every financial year, Mr. Speaker? Not more than 18 billion. Half of the budget is not availed. I am happy, Mr. Speaker, that the President of the Republic of Kenya has agreed to implement and to actualize, Mr. Speaker, Article 173 of the Constitution, so that we have the judiciary fund